All right, so let's see if the audio is okay. Yeah, perfect. How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are doing great. I am Dork Radu and I am back with another daily analysis. As always, we are going to start off with the Forex analysis. And to be more exact, I'm going to start off with USD CHF, where we have a bearish setup running in some nice profits as we speak. TP1 was smashed on both of our entries, okay? And to quickly recap why I took it, it was very simple. I saw a textbook break of structure to the downside caused by this bearish leg right here. I saw a unmitigated order block that was lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The daily and the 4-hour, both bullish on the trade or graph, and the pullback was also a pretty nice and corrective one. Hence why I decided to take this setup. Moving forward on AUD USD, this setup is running in some drawdown as we speak. The reason I took it is because I saw this bullish break, very aggressive looking. Before the break, I saw that liquidity was swept as well. And after the break, I was able to identify this fair value gap that is lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range. I saw that the daily and the 4-hour were both bullish on the trade or graph, and the pullback was also a pretty corrective one. So it was a valid setup for sure. Now we just need to see how it will play out. If it's going to be a stop loss, it's all good because it was a valid setup. Same story with NZD USD. Okay, this one is running in a small drawdown as we speak. The reason I took it is because I saw this huge uptrend right here. I saw a continuation of that with this bullish break. We also had this fair value gap that was lining up with the area of interest as well as with this bullish trade or order block. Daily and the 4-hour were both bullish on the trade or graph, and the pullback seemed to be pretty corrective as well. This didn't look aggressive to me. Okay, we had a lot of wicks, not full body candlesticks. So yeah, once again, a valid setup. And now we just need to wait and see how it will play out. On EuroCAD, we have a bearish opportunity. Right here, we have a bearish shift in momentum. We swept liquidity to the upside with this fake out, and immediately after that, we broke structure to the downside very aggressively with this bearish push. After that, I identified this unmitigated order block that was lining up with the area of interest. And we can see that the pullback so far is looking very nice and corrective, which is exactly what we want. On AUD CHF, we have a bearish opportunity. We can see price moved even lower. We have a textbook break of structure to the downside caused by this bearish leg. We have a unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the point of interest as well as with this bearish trade or order block. The 4-hour is also bearish on the trade or graph. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. On Euro CHF, we have another bearish opportunity. We have a bearish shift in momentum here. Okay, we swept liquidity to the upside with this fake out right here above this high. And immediately after that, we broke structure to the downside very impulsively with this bearish leg. The 4-hour was also bearish on the trade or graph. We have this unmitigated order block lining up with this bearish trade or order block, and they are both lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is to see if we get a corrective pullback. On GBP CAD, we have a bullish setup, a continuation of this uptrend with this bullish break right here. We then have a unmitigated order block that is lining up perfectly with the area of interest. The daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the trade or graph, and it is safe to say that so far the pullback is looking very nice and corrective as well. On USD CAD, another bullish setup. Right here, price moved sideways for the past couple weeks, but here we have a shift in momentum. We have a fake out to the downside where price swept liquidity, followed by this impulsive break of structure to the upside caused by this bullish leg. We have this unmitigated order block lining up with the discounted area. The daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the trade or graph. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is to see if we get a corrective pullback. GBP AUD with another bullish opportunity. Very aggressive break right here with this bullish leg. Pullback so far has been very nice and corrective, which is exactly what we are looking for. The 4-hour is bullish on the trader graph, and we also have this fair value gap that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. On Euro JPY, we have a bearish setup, very clear and textbook this one. Liquidity sweep followed by a aggressive break towards the downside. We have this unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback towards our fire zone. And lastly, we have CAD JPY with another bearish setup looking pretty similar to the previous one, to Euro JPY if I'm not mistaken. Right here we have once again a liquidity sweep followed by a aggressive break towards the downside. So pretty much we have a bearish shift in momentum. The 4-hour is bearish on the trader graph. We have a nice and aggressive break towards the downside here because it left imbalance behind. We have this fair value gap lining up with the area of interest, and now the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's Forex analysis right here. As always, if there's any other questions, you should reach out on Discord. Now I will go over today's metals analysis, starting off with gold, where I was able to identify a bearish opportunity. Right here, I saw an aggressive break of structure to the downside caused by this bearish leg. Before the break, liquidity was swept right here. And after the break, I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that, as we can see, is lining up with the point of interest. The 4-hour is bearish on the trader graph, and now we need to wait to see if we get a corrective pullback. And on silver, we have a bullish opportunity. On silver right here, we have a textbook break towards the upside caused by this bullish leg. After the break, I was able to identify this fair value gap that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph, and it is safe to say that this pullback is looking pretty corrective so far, which is exactly what we are looking for, right? And yeah, that's about it for the metals analysis. As always, if there's any further questions, you should reach out on Discord. And now I will go over today's indices analysis, starting off with US 30, where currently I wasn't able to identify anything. Although price is looking bearish, I wasn't able to identify a bearish setup because the price is looking way too linear here. Okay, so I'll just leave it as is and wait for some fresh structure. Same story on SPX. Although the price is looking pretty bearish, I wasn't able to identify a valid bearish range that we could take and then trade. And lastly, on NASDAQ, on this one, I was able to identify a bearish range. Okay, on this one, I was able to identify this beautiful bearish range because of this textbook break towards the downside caused by this bearish leg. After the break, I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that is lining up perfectly with the area of interest. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is to see if we get a corrective pullback. And yeah, that's about it for the indices analysis. As always, make sure to reach out on Discord if there's any further questions. And lastly, I will go over today's crypto analysis, starting off with Bitcoin, where price is pretty much in the same spot as yesterday. Didn't really move much. We have a sideways movement recently on Bitcoin, hence why there's no setup. And we'll leave the chart as is and come back to it later today or tomorrow. On Ethereum, we have this bullish setup that smashed TP1 and TP2 on entry number 2 and TP1 on entry number 1. Currently playing around break-even price. The reason I took this one was already explained yesterday, but why not quickly go over it now as well. I saw a aggressive break, a fair value gap that was lining up perfectly with the point of interest. I saw that the daily and the 4-hour were both bullish on the trader graph as well. And the last thing that I saw was that the price had a corrective pullback towards my fire zone. Okay, so definitely a very valid setup. On Dogecoin, we can see that price is looking pretty choppy and that there's no clear range that we could trade. I think that's the same story on XRP. Yep, as y'all can see, very choppy price action, a lot of wicks, a lot of indecision, hence why we're just gonna wait for some fresh structure. And lastly, on Solana, we have a bullish setup. Okay, right here, we have a aggressive break. Before the break, we swept liquidity as well right here. And after the break, I was able to identify this fair value gap that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The daily is bullish on the trader graph, and we can see that the pullback is looking very, very corrective so far. Okay, and yeah, that's about it for this crypto analysis as well as the overall daily analysis. As always, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the dork side. Take care.